Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. Happy weekend. I hope you're all doing fantastically well and you're all ready for the game tomorrow. We're not going to be discussing the game today because we've got plenty of time to dive into the specifics for the Arsenal one in the pre-match build-up and obviously the post-match analysis. What we're going to do today is we have a transfer special. So me and Shreyas have to provide one defender, one midfielder, and one attacker that are, and this is the key aspect to this, that are realistic. It's not going to be Mbappe, Valverde,
Yeah.
and Saliba, for example. We're not going to be doing that. So you guys have got a bit of time to think about yours. For the viewers who are watching, make sure you state your reasons why you would go for these players, how you think they would fit Manchester United's system, what's the contract situation at the moment, what's the age profile. Consider all of those things when you're going to put your transfers in, and I want to see as many as possible in the comments. It's up to you, Shreyas, really. Do you want to kick things off, or do you want me to kick it off?
I think I'll kick it off this time.
Okay. So you've gone first. Tell me the first defender that you've gone with.
Yeah, the first one that I've gone with is Nuno Mendes from PSG. I think once again this is a player who is rated very highly, is very very young. He's still only 22 years of age, and he's got a very very brilliant career ahead of him, considering the way that he is going. When you look at this Manchester United team, and when you look at that left back as at that wing back department, you need someone who actually fits in quite comfortably in there and knows actually how to operate as a wing back.
Mm-hmm.
The players that we've got in right now, whether you speak about Dallo or even about Mazraoui in certain instances, they don't have that natural mindset of a wing back. It takes them, I would say, 5 to 6 seconds more to actually bomb on forward or actually tuck back whenever it's needed. Not saying that they're not good players. Mazraoui are probably one of our best players this season, but as a wing back, you need that sort of attacking approach, and you need that sort of instinct as well about when to actually push forward. Because if you're not able to time your runs as a wing back, especially in this sort of a system with two tens, you're never going to get that width. And if you don't get that width, it's going to be very congested in the box. So I think when you look at Nuno Mendes, he's played at Sporting before as well. He's got a past at Sporting. He got picked up by PSG, and at PSG as well, he's been very very good. I think when you look at his stats, when you look at the way he in a fullback system as well, the amount of ground duels he wins, the amount of crosses he puts into the box. I think right now they got Gonzalo Ramos and Ousmane Dembele who play as that striker, in that striker department, and both of them experience a lot of joy because on that left hand side, when people do try to double up on Barcola, Nuno Mendes gets absolute space to actually move forward. So it creates a lot of issues for opposition teams to track PSG down. So I think when you look at it in this perspective, I think if you put Nuno Mendes on that left hand side and then you've got someone like Ugarte right beside him to complement him and Bruno ahead of him to actually work with, helps Bruno a lot as well because Bruno is not naturally gifted with pace. So when
And
you
he's
put someone like
Portuguese, so on top of that.
exactly,
You know what I mean?
exactly, yeah, and then you put someone like Nuno Mendes, right beside him, that pace factor completely goes out of the way. So I think when you look at that fullback department, I think Nuno Mendes is perhaps an obvious choice considering the situation with PSG.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I mean, we've spoken about this before. Probably our top three targets is one of the players that I'm going to mention in a moment, and Nuno Mendes as well would be right up there in terms of, because like you said, everything you need in that position, that relentlessness, how quick he is, his ability in the final third, they're all extremely important. And it's all like, you see a lot of the times, like, I'll go into my target in a moment, and this will kind of add on to the importance in what I'm saying. So I've gone with Anthony Robinson, 27 years old, obviously a left back, but plays a lot higher up the pitch if you actually watch how Fulham play. Probably looking at around 40 to 50 million pound in a realistic world, but his contract is from 2024 2029 is what we're looking at. But if you look at him as a pure player, only Saka and Salah have more assists than Robinson this season so far. He's amazing in the final third. He's got people to cover him, in the middle of the park, like Sanderberg, who he was linked with. And whoever it is who plays in that midfield area, he really, really pushes on. He's rapid, great at carrying the ball. And the personal highlight, what really convinced me, Shreyas, I don't know if you watched this game, but when Fulham drew 2-2 with Liverpool,
Yeah, yeah,
when they got a
yeah,
red card. In that game, he was causing absolute fucking mayhem on that left-hand
yeah.
side. And they just couldn't not deal with him. And again, it is the right-hand side. I mean, Dallo had a bit of joy against Trent, so I don't know how much credit you want to kind of give him there. But I
But this
think he,
he did a number on Gravenberch in that game as well
yeah,
when he was
yeah.
trying to bounce
Just
forward.
running off him, like his timing, running, he's perfect at it. And we are desperate for that left wing back position. We both agree on that. Dallo, when he gets into that final third, he gets a bit of a nosebleed. It tends to chop back. I know we saw against Liverpool, he's putting crosses in for Ahmad and stuff, but typically, anyone who's watched Diego Dallo this season, he does cut in. He'll go for the easy option. He'll drop back to Bruno, and then the attack goes stale then. So, yeah, my only, and I'm sure you will probably mention this as well, but my only criticism with this move, or my only worry with it, is he signed a 5-year deal last year. So it's super, super expensive. But then I think if you go for Nuno Mendes as well, Shreyas, that's also going to be pretty expensive.
Likewise, yeah, because more than just the contract, his age and his profile, I think we've seen how tough PSG can be with negotiations during that Ugarte deal, and this is someone who they really don't want to let go of.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very tricky to do the deal, but with the way that Nuno Mendes is pushing the deal, with the way his agent is pushing the deal, I'm sure that he'll be moving from PSG.
Yeah.
If it is United, I'm going to be very glad. If it is not, I'm sure that whoever he actually goes to, they're going to find a very reliable fullback for quite some time.
Agreed. Before we get into our midfield targets, I just want to read out a couple of comments because people are getting theirs in there already. Charlie Malm saying, today I heard someone say Ineos have never done a big transfer in their life because we look to lose Mwane. We signed De Litmaz and Ugarte in the summer. I guess they're not a big deal. Emmanuel saying Gyökeres. Jolly saying this clickbaiter also said everyone who are doing deals and he knows full well we need to sell someone before we can do a deal. Yep, Ineos have done bad things, but Goldbridge needs to grow up. Jolly on smoke this morning with Goldbridge. James McGrogan saying Gyökeres, Ederson and Mendes. Emmanuel saying Nuno Mendes, Ederson and Gyökeres as well. A lot of people going for similar ones. Charlie saying Davis, Nayapan and Gyökeres. Nayapan nearly made it into mine, but I'll show you the reason why he didn't make it into mine. Right, kick us off with your midfield targets, Shreyas.
Yeah. I think my midfield target, someone who's gone under the radar in Europe this year. And I think considering the way Milan are playing right now, can be a very realistic target for us next season. And it's Tiani Reinders, who plays for AC Milan, can play as a 10, can play as a 6, can play as an 8, can play as a right wing back, you can say as well. He's very, very versatile in his approach. I think his contract runs out in 2028. So can be an easier deal to do in comparison to certain other players, and I think he's got a release clause or something in his contract around 45 or 50 million. So he is someone that United definitely need to look at, because with the way the Serie A is looking right now, with Napoli, with Fiorentina, with Inter Milan in there as well, and now Atlanta in the mix alongside Juve, who found some form, it's going to be very tricky for AC Milan to even make it into the top 6 this season if they continue on the track that they have been in. They've got a new coach in, but I think it's going to be very difficult because there is already a very big gap when you look at the top 4 and when you look at AC Milan's position right now. And if they do finish outside the top 4, I think Reinders can become a very, very important player for us and a very realistic target, because a move to the Premier League entices every single player. And when you look at clubs in Italy, they're always looking for options to actually raise funds. AC Milan are a club who desperately need funds. And when you look at the players that they can offload for some money, one is Rafael Leao, one is Theo Hernandez, and the other is Reinders.
Yeah.
So if you look at his as a player as well, he's very mobile. He's also very quick with his feet. He knows when to release the ball, especially when you're trying to play in that half space and you're trying to go for a counter attack, which we've seen multiple times with Bruno Fernandes at United when he's on the half turn and he goes with that ball. Reinders can do that job as well. And when you're playing in a possession-based style of football, he's very good on the ball. And and he provides you with a very good quality option in games where you just want to lock down. You can go with Ugarte and Reinders in that double pivot instead of Ugarte and Minu, and just lock down that entire area altogether. I think his age as well, I think he's 25 or 26 years old. So he's someone who brings that sort of expertise, as well as, he brings that sort of flair, I would say, to the midfield as well, because he's a very tricky player as well. I think right now the Serie A is blessed with a lot of talent. when you look at the amount of midfielders that they've got at their disposal. And I think with the condition that Milan are in, we can get him for a very cheap price.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a reoccurring theme here. There's going to be a lot of shopping in Italy, especially with the next few targets. But I agree. I think I love Rangers as a player. He's another one who would have been in my top 3 as well. If it got announced, I mean, it never happened in January, but if it did get announced this month that we sign it, I'd be absolutely buzzing. I think he's a phenomenal talent. But the weird thing with Rangers is he's had a bit of a mad career. Because he was at like Zhong AZ, I think it was, and then he moved to RKC on loan, and then like clubs that no one's ever heard of before, really, in reality. But then moved to AC Milan, and then has just had kind of this run in the last year or so where he's looked really, really good. And sometimes you get late bloomers in football, don't you?
Yeah, and he played for a while at AZ Alkmaar, a club in Eredivisie, and before moving to Milan, he had I think he was very close. Like he just had to make the signature, and he would have moved to Barcelona. He didn't move to Barcelona and actually made the move to Milan because he desperately wanted minutes, and he knew that if he signs there with the kind of situation Barca were in around the 2022 period, wasn't really an enticing project. So he's moved to AC Milan, a club. I wouldn't say that they're doing bad, but you expect a lot more from them. When you look at the history they've got, the legacy that they've built over the years, and he's come in and he's absolutely took that midfield by storm, because I think it was Tonali who left them around that time spell as well to Newcastle, and he was a big loss for that midfield. He's come in and he's absolutely elevated that midfield. So I really wish that United can actually get this deal done, because he's arguably top 10 midfielders in Europe right now.
Yeah, on form for sure. And you mentioned AC Milan, 8th in the league, only 2 points above Udinese. You got teams like Bologna, Fiorentina, and Lazio above Milan currently at the minute, so they're not doing well in Europe. Maybe it is something that could entice someone like Rangers to Manchester United. That's why it's realistic. That's what we're saying. We're going to stick with the Italian league, Shreyas, and I have gone with Ederson in the midfield. 25 years old, obviously plays similar positions to what Rangers does. Plays for Atalanta, probably looking around £40 million is his estimated worth at the minute, and he's got a contract until 2027. This is a kid who I say a kid, he's 25. This is a player who I didn't really look at a lot when we first initially got linked with him. But the more I watch us at the moment, I'm not saying we need to displace Ugarte and Cobbe, because I think that partnership could blossom, especially what we saw at Anfield as well. But outside of that, you look at the other options. I mean, all I have to mention is the Newcastle game. I don't even need to expand on that. You know exactly what I'm talking about in that midfield with Casemiro and Eriksen. It was just a nightmare, wasn't it? Like, there was runners everywhere. Joe Linton, Tonali, Guimaraes were killing us. So I think Ederson in that box-to-box role with the energy that he brings would be absolutely perfect. Physically well developed in terms of strength, energy, carrying the ball. He's well-rounded due to the nature of Gasperini's system as well, because Gasperini demands a lot from his midfielders, whether it's linking up with triangles, whether it's defending the edge of the box, whether it's going forward. Anything you want from a midfielder, a well-rounded player, which Amorim needs, because there's not specifically one title on the players in that role. And I think Ugarte and Ederson together, if you need that kind of really robust strength in a tough away game, let's say for a Champions League, for example, I think that would be absolutely perfect. And to add on to that as well, he's got that kind of Brazilian street footballer in him. He can navigate tight spaces. He's quite quick with his feet. And he's had plenty of good performances in the Champions League against Real Madrid, against Liverpool, against loads of big teams. So when people ask can he fit in the Premier League or will it transfer and that kind of stuff, I have no doubts whatsoever about him. So Ederson as that extra midfielder. I think the left wing back is a priority. I think maybe striker or forward is a priority as well. But I think in particular, that extra midfielder for legs is needed. Especially with the fixtures at the minute, innit?
Yeah, you need it, because if Ugarte or Mino pick up an injury and you need to go into 2 or 3 game period without Ugarte or Mino, then you're really in a fix, because you've got no one who can actually cover for them in those areas. And I think either of them, whether you get Reinders or whether you get Ederson, I think you desperately need depth in that midfield, because going into a season, you should have at least 3 midfielders in your team who can make a case for themselves actually being starters for us. Otherwise it's going to be the same thing of displacing Bruno from the 10 and accommodating him in midfield just so that you can have the legs.
Yeah. We've got DHRV saying Heung-min Son to Manchester United. He's out of contract, isn't he, I think?
Yeah, it is.
But to be fair, Son's been a little bit like Rashford in the place where he's been inconsistent sometimes. He's not always been... I mean, he's sometimes sitting on the bench for Spurs. Timo Werner started over him the other day. James McGregor is saying, to be fair, there are plenty of high-caliber targets, it seems, this season and potentially in the summer. Seems like players that are available this summer aren't a better quality than last summer, which is interesting as well. Well, with that in mind, let's start the attacking options off, Shreyas. Who are you going with?
I've gone with another player from the Serie A, Napoli's winger, Kvaratskhelia, who I think he's a superstar of a signing. I think whenever you look at him, I think one of the key things that he brings to the table is he's able to knit the attack together, which is something we desperately need in our team, because right now our attack looks very, very disjointed. Whenever we are on the pitch, Ahmad and Bruno do look good together, but whoever is a striker, whether it's Xerxes, whether it's Hoyland, they just don't fit well when you look at that front three, and that's why you don't see that sort of fluidity. And when you look at someone like Kvaratskhelia, he's only 23. He has got a lot of experience now in Napoli, and perhaps formed one of the most destructive duos with Osimhen when they when Napoli did win the league.
Yeah.
And he's just when you look at the sort of wingers, he's not someone who pushes on and after taking on a defender just passes the ball backwards. He takes the defenders on. He likes to cut inside into the box. He tries to look first. He's a very good scanner inside the box as well. And once again, he can function in a multitude of areas, whether it's as a left winger, whether it's as a 10, whether it's as a striker. And he's also a very big game. He's someone who's a big game player. During the Euros with Georgia, I think Georgia were one of the most exciting teams. One of the most exciting teams.
Yeah.
And him and Mikutadze up top, they were absolutely killing teams apart whenever they were playing. So him being able to adapt to the Premier League, I'm certain that he will. He will be pricey. For sure, he's going to be a pricey player, because Napoli are always a big menace when it comes to, negotiating for their players. They let go of Koulibaly for around 60-80 million. Osimhen wasn't able to go to Chelsea and had to go on loan to Galatasaray.
We could end up getting ourselves as well.
Yeah, I mean, get both of them. Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia, reunite them together. But yes, he's genuinely a very, very good player. And I think the moment you bring him into this sort of an attack, I think he's going to be an absolute killer, especially alongside someone like Ahmad. You're going to get this, that sort of effectiveness, and the amount of legwork both of these guys bring. We're going to be very difficult to track down, whether it's the midfield or as well as that, inside 10 positions.
Yeah, that'd be my only pushback, is the price and who's going to be going in for him, because you're seeing PSG linked with him at the minute. There's a couple of Chelsea, like you said, I think Liverpool are interested as well. So
yeah, Salah
got quite a few clubs there, and if they are in the race for him and United put their hat in the ring, I think they might struggle a bit to bring him in. But in terms of ability as a player, I mean, I said it. Obviously, you've been following him quite a while, and it was even saying it before the Euros, but it was the Euros that really, I mean, the season he had with Osimhen was great, and when they won the title, he was amazing in that. But I don't know, I feel like I watched the Euros more, obviously, and seeing him for Georgia in a team that's pretty average, he was like an absolute killer in that team. So that was what really kind of caught my eye and was like, okay, let's look into this player a little bit more. Because we've gone with realistic signing, I was going to go with Cunha, but because Cunha's just signed a new deal, I'm like, it's going to be impossible. I mean, he was probably going to cost about 50, 60 million anyway, but signing a new deal, you're like, it's going to cost an absolute fortune. So I do love Cunha. I think he would be perfect for it. But we've had to switch up a little bit, and we're going to stay in Italy again, people. We're going to go with Ademola Lookman, 27 years old, can play across the front line, plays for Atalanta. It probably cost 35 to 45 million. He would cost more, but the contract situation at the minute runs out in 2026, which is very, very interesting. I didn't realise that. But if you watch him as a player, excels in 1v1s, which we desperately need. Like Trincao, basically, for Sporting. We need that magician who can beat a man to give him that.
You need that
threat.
sort of player. You need that that roboticness of wingers needs to actually go out the window when you're playing in this sort of system.
Agreed. He's rapid as well, so can make runs in behind the defensive line. It's not only just in front of you. Creates a lot of goal scoring opportunities as well. I think he's in the top percentile in the Italian league for that. And then obviously his biggest standout performance was the Europa League against that title-winning Leverkusen team.
Leverkusen.
And if you watch the goals that he scores, all different. There's one where there's anticipation where he nicks in front of the man and then buries it. There's one where he nutmegs the player on the edge of the box and then rifles it into the top corner. And then there's one where he beats a man 1v1 onto his left foot and rifles it into the top corner again. And you talk about like a complete performance from a forward. I think he is exactly what we need in an attacking player. And his situation at the minute, so like I said, his contract runs out in 2026. He's on £50,000 a week currently. So a move to the Premier League, I mean, it's not someone who I've always pushed and gone on about a lot, but the more we look into the situation, and I appreciate he's 27, but I don't think every player that we need to sign has to be under 25. Do you know what I mean? Like a couple of players we mentioned already. Rangers is 26. Edison's 25. That age profile is okay. It's not a Casemiro where he's 30 years old and you give him £350,000 a week, you know?
Exactly.
So I think Ademola Lookman can give you that kind of maximum feel when you need it. Can also give you that consistency and the finishing as well that you need in that attacking areas. And the fact he's versatile, can play across the front line. You can play him on the right hand side and play Bruno one day, or you can play him with Ahmad, or you can play him up top and have different profiles around him. So again, it's not a name that we've been linked with heavily, is it? But why not? Why not?
Yeah, we desperately need to look out for these sort of players, because Lookman even did a number on Real Madrid this year as well when Atalanta came up against them and managed to actually get a goal against them, and it was a very tight game. I think Madrid just edged them 3-2. So he's genuinely a very gifted player. Once again, he's very tricky. He also brings that sort of flair alongside De Ketelaere they've got in that other 10 position who plays for them in that Atalanta system. But the only thing I'm just a little worried about with him is that I think he did play in the Premier League before with Leicester, and he had a trouble when it came to matching up with the intensity of the Prem. But he's moved to Atalanta and he's actually revived his career altogether. I think he, even for the national team as well, he's been very decent. And I think when a player does end up performing for you, when it comes to Europe, especially against quality teams, it does help you. It does bring you more confidence in regarding the player. But just the fact that at Leicester he looked like a shadow of what he's doing right now, that's the only thing that I'm a little concerned about. Apart from that,
oh, hello. Have we lost Shreyas? Hello. Oh, I think we're lagging a little bit. What's going on with the connection? Ooh. 1 second. Something's going on with the connection. I don't know why. I don't know if it's me or Shreyas. 1 2 1 2. Yeah, I think Shreyas' connection is going. Whilst he's sorting that out, I will continue because this is what we do with professionals. I'll read out some comments and then we'll get back to Shreyas. Are we back?
Yeah. Discord once again.
Yeah, it went mad then. Sorry, just finish off the end point that he was making then. I don't want to cut you in.
Just the thing that, his past in the Premier League is the only thing that concerns me a bit. But yes, apart from that, I think, like you mentioned as well, we need versatility in this attack, not someone who's just unidimensional, that they can function in just one single area. We need someone who can cover for us in multiple areas. So I think Lookman, for the price especially, I would say that he's being quoted around. I think even if it's, I would say it's a gamble, but it's a very safe gamble if you're going in with a player and just, actually spending like 30-35 million.
I think the other thing I'd like to mention as well is the two players that we've gone for in the attacking areas are both going for the title at the minute. I mean, Napoli's currently top. Atalanta are second, but they've got a game in hand and the 3 points behind them. So both of them are pushing for the league. Will it'd probably be more difficult in it if they do, let's say Lookman wins the league with Atalanta to try and convince him to come to United in a minute. I suppose that's an issue with a lot of players, bar Rangers, probably who you mentioned, who's struggling with Milan. You have to give him a concrete offer. Like, why move from Italy? Why move from a team that's just won the league? Why do this? The opportunity to play in the Premier League is a big pull, and obviously to play for United it is. But is it as big as a pull now, considering the situation United are in?
I mean, look, we're going to win the title next year. So
Jesus.
If you sign for us now, you're going to be in for a ride. So yeah, but apart from that, the most that we can offer them right now is, I would say, a very positive project with a manager who can get the best out of you, with a manager who, I think, if you can give him your absolute all on the pitch, will be ready to actually defend you from practically anything when it comes to the media, when it comes to off the pitch work as well. So I think United do still have that pull when it comes to players. We've been in worse situations, and we've been able to attract players like Casemiro, who just won the Champions League with Madrid. So I think when it comes to pull, we still got that. But I think definitely, being a part of this project, I think it is going to be enticing for a lot of players, especially to Serie A players, because I've seen Serie A players have immense seasons and then moving to La Liga or Premier League all the time. Like genuinely all the time I've seen it happening. So I can see it happen with whether it's Ederson, whether it's Reinders, whether it's Lookman, or even if it's Kvaratskhelia. Them being strapped for cash every single window actually helps us. So if we can go in and get these players in, especially, I'm sure Rashford is going to be leaving during the next summer itself or before it. I'm sure that Rashford will be gone. Anthony will be gone as well. So you're going to need players to come in for them. And there's still a big cloud over Xerxes' future as well. So these faces will go out and new faces will genuinely have to come in. So I'm sure that, whatever Ineos do feel, or however they do scout the network when it comes to Europe, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of these sort of deals with players running their contracts out or in the last year of their contracts and then actually navigating through the window.
Well, as well as signing players, obviously keeping players is very important. And obviously we had the news the other day that Amad Diallo has signed a new contract, which is amazing. But an interview's just dropped with him today. So just to finish off the show, we'll touch on those quotes and then we can kind of head off. But just a quick recap for anyone who's joining. We started the show doing 3 targets, 1 defender, 1 midfielder, and 1 attacker. I went with Anthony Robertson at left back. I also went with Ederson in the midfield, and I went with Ademola Lookman in the forward line. Shreyas went with Nuno Mendes at left wing back. He went with Reinders from AC Milan and Kvaratskhelia up top. So I think any of them options are I would be happy with any of them, honestly.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
It got announced. So appreciate everyone to get involved in that transfer. Keep getting your comments in and we'll read them out. LW saying congratulations on the 10k. Thank you so much. It means a lot. We've got a live show tonight with all the lads on, by the way. So me, Shreyas, Dan, Chive, Aaron, Adam, and Sam are all on with a 10k celebration. Shreyas has got the ginger ale ready to go and pop. I'm going to have a whiskey. The lads are going to have a whiskey as well. And we're going to do a bit of a quiz. We're going to do basically a bit of looking back at old clips, all the funny ones from our time, building as a channel. And it's going to be other little fun bits in there as well. So it'd be nice to see as many of you as possible. That's going to be around 7:30 tonight. It would be amazing if we could see loadies in there. And anything, or even just if you can give feedback on how you found the channel or when you first watched it, or maybe even what attracted you to keep watching it. That kind of stuff would be great. But Amad Diallo. Anyway, let's talk about this just to finish off with. It's been speaking about Ruben Amorim. He was saying it's a new system for everyone. At the beginning, it was not easy, but I think now the team is starting to understand the system a little bit more. The manager and the staff are every day at the training ground to help us understand it incomplete. On the coaching staff, so we're very happy to have them, and we want to follow them for the system because we know at the end we will have success. Now, it's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously he started off as a wing back. And now he's become more concrete in the 10. What is his better position? Because I don't think I'm too sure. I like him in both.
Exactly. I think he's quality in both sides. And I think it comes down more to, I think right now, it genuinely comes down more to the fact as to what sort of opposition you are playing and what sort of players you've got available. Because if you got players available, I think you can make do with Amad actually playing as a wing back. If you got Mazraoui and Dalot as your preferred wing backs, then you can deploy Amad in the 10 as well, because in either of those positions his effectiveness when it comes to his attacking movements, it doesn't drop off at all. And he's been a revelation ever since Amorim has come in. Especially, I think the only way our attack clicks is when Amad is able to click, that speaks a lot considering the kind of players we've got at our disposal right now. And a goal against City, the equalizing goal against Liverpool as well, and I'm sure he's going to get on the score sheet this weekend as well. So he's got a big future ahead of him. I think moving forward though, like as a long-term project, I think he'll be deployed in that 10 position.
Yeah,
because you need him more nearer to the box. and you need him. I think the moment allow him to operate in that half space, a lot more options open up for Højlund, a lot more options open up for Bruno as well. And one thing that I've really liked in the past few fixtures is Højlund or Xerxes might still be getting used to it, might still take some time to actually accommodate themselves in that position. But Bruno and Ahmad are playing very well as a duo, and especially against Liverpool, probably one of the best teams in England, or one of the top 3 teams in Europe right now. Bruno and Ahmad were absolutely unplayable in that game, and I was waiting to see that side of Bruno as well as Ahmad as a partnership in that 10, and we slowly starting to see that blossom, similar to how Ugarte and Menu have been blossoming in that midfield position. So I'm really glad to see that. I think the moment whether either of Højlund or Xerxes are able to get more accustomed to the system, we're going to see the numbers go even higher.
I remember even from the first cameo against Nottingham Forest when Ahmad came on for 15 minutes, the link up he had with Bruno straight away. And I described it as the time. I remember straight after the game, when I did the pros and cons, I said it looks like Ødegaard and Saka together when they operate on that right-hand side. It was very, very similar.
Yeah.
And that's what you get when you have 2 players who are on the exact same wavelength. You do get that partnership starting to blossom. I agree with that. One of the quotes I love from this interview has to be said. He said... On the United project, he says, I want to be here for a long, long, long time. Not just 5 more years, but maybe all my life, he said.
That's all you would want to hear from your player, especially the one who's playing so well, who's just signed a new contract. And we've seen it from him as well. Like, you put any other player in that sort of, I would say, experience that Ahmad has had at United up until now, where the player has actually played quite well, played better than the other players who were available in his position, and still not been able to get consistent minutes. And I think if it was any other player, especially with the kind of clubs who might have offered for this player, this player as well, I think anyone would have jumped ship. You're in the last year of your deal, you hear, oh, maybe Arsenal can come for me, or maybe Chelsea can come for me, and both of these clubs are preferably, at least going to make it into the top 4. Most likely to make it into the top 4 next season. I can get Champions League football, whereas when I'm playing right now, might be a 2 or 3 year work in progress for us to get to that level.
Yeah.
He still, opted to actually, stick it at United. So I really admire the player, and I really admire his fight as well to make it back into the team after being displaced by Anthony, sometimes by Garnacho on that right hand side as well. So he's shown a lot of fight, and the best thing about his situation right now is that he's earned his spot, whether it's as a wing back, whether it's as a 10, and he's someone who's undroppable. Like when we say that Bruno, whenever Bruno's fit, he's going to play, the same goes for Ahmad. When he's fit, he is going to play. No one else can actually, displace him from this team.
I just think it's really refreshing, in it, to see players talk like that, like the wording that he used. I even remember, I said this to Sam the other day, the pre-season press conference that he did, where he was like, I want to stay here. Why not stay here all my life? And it was kind of like everyone was taken back a little bit. It was like, you sure you want to commit to that? You've seen United at the moment, like committing all your life to him, but fair play. I mean, I've had an affinity with Ahmad for a long, long time. I love him as a player, as a human. He seems like the nicest guy ever. Extremely religious, extremely dedicated. Yeah, I can't say enough good words about him. So if he wants to stay forever, I am here with open arms. And if he wants to sign my Ahmad shirt as well, I'm more than happy for him to do that. We've got Bines Manik, I hope I pronounced that right. Sorry if I didn't. Saying, hi, bro, Man United fan from Mauritius. That is crazy. I don't even know where Mauritius is. I'm not going to lie. I know I've heard of the place.
Yeah, nearer to me.
Is it?
Yeah, it's I think a 3 hour or 3.5 hour flight or something for
East
me to get
Africa, I think that looks gorgeous. My word.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If that's where you're from, you must just have a smile on your face all the time. That is fucking beautiful. Wow. Fair play to you, mate. Jesus. If you're from that area, compare that and type in Eccles in your Google and you'll see, mate, the difference from where I live to where you live anyway. That is beautiful. Anyway, Punch Paint saying, big up Random, big up Real Reds Talk. James saying, Salford have more money than Barcelona. John Ahominy saying, once Romano says it, I trust it. You need that buyback on Alvaro Fernandez. Luke Shaw back in training. Look out, don't call it a comeback. No, none of us are stupid. We know we'll probably be back for 2 weeks and then he's gone again. And then Punch is saying, I still want Evan Ferguson. We mentioned that the other day, didn't we? Remember we was getting linked with him for like 80 to
Every single
100
window.
million, I think it was, or
Yeah.
something. And then it's just not heard anything since, have we? Literally nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, that is the end of the show. Like I said, if you are watching this later on and you're not watching it live, get your transfer targets in. I want to see him defender, midfielder, and attacker, who you would go for, why they fit the system, how much we could probably get him for, and what their contract situation is at the moment. I also touched it before. We are live tonight, 7:30, and every single lad is on the channel. It's rare. It never happens, really, unless we do the big season preview. So we've managed to get everyone on at 7:30, and we're going to look back at the, because we just hit 10,000 subscribers, we're going to look back at the time building the channel, and when Shreyas first came on, and I said, who the fuck is this guy? And then when Adam first came on, and all the stories of how the channel's built up until this point today. So it'd be nice to get as many of you in there, going through old memories. But apart from that, enjoy the rest of your weekend. You can do today. United can't ruin it on a Saturday. We'll be back tonight, and then we'll be back tomorrow, pre-match build-up and the post-match analysis of the Arsenal game. So smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're on 10,106 subs. It's shooting up even quicker now. So next target, I want to say 20k, then 50k, then 100k. Let's fucking smash it. So appreciate every single one of you. You too as well, Shreyas, but you already know that. And we'll see you in the next one.